beautiful people. Welcome to the first ever episode of Your Basically by Basic with the founder, me, myself, Shannon Nia. I'm so excited for you all to be with me. So let me just explain to you a little bit about what Your Basically is all about. So you know how sometimes you may be talking to people, it may be little things that you do, and they be like, you're basically like that girl. You're basically this and this and that. You just fill in the blank. So it came to me that I wanted to have conversations with the amazing, incredible, incomparable women in my life to talk about the things that they basically are. And for some things, they may actually agree with these titles that I've placed upon them. And for other times, we may be having, lively debates, discussions about why they are not that thing and how they've overcome that title in their life. Because, at Basic, we're all about dispelling the labels that people have placed on us, society, so we can empower ourselves, rewrite our narratives, and be the amazing women and girls who God has created us to be. So, with all of that being said, I love introducing people because I just love gushing over the people in my life. But I want to really give the women who come on an opportunity to share with you who they are, to introduce themselves, and I don't want to miss anything that they have to say to you guys. So I'm going to welcome our first guest, our first ever You're Basically guest, co-host, star, all the titles. And I'm going to let her introduce herself and let her tell you who she is. So, London, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Before I start, I just want to say, Shannon, thank you so much for allowing me to spread my light on your platform and just, speak to your listeners, speak to you, have a conversation with you. And I'm just super excited for this. And I'm excited that I'm the first one.
I mean, well, we don't want to be braggadocious here, but it's the first. It is super intentional.
Yes.
I genuinely feel like God is just all up and through all of the conversations that are to come and the
For
conversation
sure.
that we're having now. So it is no mistake that you are
Yeah.
the first conversation that we're going to have. So thank you for being here and thank you for helping us set the tone of what You're Basically is going to be all about.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you're basically like, my first guest, you're basically the one who's kicking us off. So let
Yeah.
us know who you are, what you do, or anything that you just want us to know before we dive into our conversation.
Yes. So first things first, I am God's daughter, and He does not play about me. That's first things first.
Hello.
I am a lover. I am a mother. I'm a friend. I'm a sister, and I have such a big heart, and I really, really am so passionate about helping women learn that they can live the life that they dream of if it's in God's will, and they can definitely, basically basically no, but basically, like, we can be who God created us to be. I'm very, very, very passionate about that. But I started out naming characteristics about myself because oftentimes when people ask us, who are you? Tell us about yourself. We start naming things that we do, right? I'm a mother, I'm a dancer, I'm a singer, I'm a designer. But who are you? Like, what are the things that make you great at what you do? And that's something that, one of my close friends, Naz, she was on my platform before and she shared that. And I said, wow, I have to shift my mindset when someone asks me that
Yeah.
question because we often just talk about what we do. But we don't talk about who we are, like who God created us to be. Like, you're a kind person, you're a caring person, you're loving. I'm all of those things. I have such a big heart. But some of the things that I do wear many hats. God has blessed me with many gifts. But just to name a few, I am the creative director and owner of Dope Sophist, which is a women's wear clothing line. And I am the founder of a women's empowerment community called Go Get Her. And pretty much Go Get Her is where we go after the woman that God created us to be, but we focus on healing our inner child at the same time. Because a lot of the things that we're still struggling with today is things that we were not aware of when we were children, or just things that we did not heal along the way of our journey, you know? So that's just a little bit about me.
And I love that you brought in that perspective shift of how we introduce ourselves. This is something that I have been struggling with on my own. Not struggling with, but
Yeah.
I'm always just like, okay, what do I say? What do I want people
It's
to,
such a nerve-wracking question.
what does this mean? Why me? Is this your first impression of me? Are you gonna lock me into the things that I say? And if I don't prove
Yeah,
those things, like it just makes your mind go all over. But
for
I
sure.
think that's such a beautiful thing, like to tell people, like, I'm compassionate, I care, I have a big heart, and like, because underneath all of the titles, at the core, that's who you are as a,
Right,
right?
right.
So wherever I show up in a space, I'm gonna be that compassionate person that, you know,
Yes.
all those different types of things. So I love that.
Thank
And speaking of Go Get Her, because we see your title on your name, but you also just told us about your empowerment community. How did Go Get Her even start? Like, where did that stem from? Was it something that you were personally going through and you were like, hey, I feel like other women need to, where do we get Go Get Her from?
So Go Get Her actually started out as a campaign idea for Dope Sophist. And God was like, yeah, no, this is definitely more than a campaign. This is your ministry. Like, this is what's going to set you off. And, I wasn't seeing it at that point. I was just like, okay, Go Get Her. Like, I'm going to have like the blazer for the bold girl, and I'm going to have this for that girl. Like, I was seeing it that way. But God definitely, he definitely works in mysterious ways. So I have taken a step to go into manufacturing and creating samples and things of that nature, because I'm a mom of two now. I'm very busy. I just don't have the time to make everything myself, right? So I took that leap of faith and I went into that step, and God put it on pause, which in the moment I was frustrated about, because I'm like, oh my God, this is something new. And, every time I take a step, it's like a closed door, or, things of that nature.
Mhm.
But oftentimes when we feel like it's happening to us, it's happening for us. Because if I didn't go on that break with my brand, if I didn't say, okay, you know what, let me take a step back because maybe the way I'm going about it is not right. If I wasn't self-aware to do those things, Go Get Her probably wouldn't be what it is today.
Mhm.
So yeah, Go Get Her really started out as a campaign, but what really, even the initial Go Get Her, I'm like I said, I'm very big on women empowerment and women just going after what they deserve and what they desire. And as I built my relationship with God, it turned more into, no, we need to go after the woman that God created us to be.
Mhm.
Not self-made. We're not self-made. He created us. He knew who we were before we were even here.
Right.
When we were in our mother's womb, he already knew Shannon is going to be creating this. London is going to, like, he already knew all of these things, but we just, we get tangled into things, we get
All
distracted,
the
we
stuff.
get pulled, things happen, but he orchestrates things purposely for us to get in our purpose and walk in our purpose. But
Yeah.
it's important for us to heal first. It's important for us to heal first before we can even take off and go where God wants us to go. We
Mhm.
have to literally take off all that trauma, all that hurt, all that pain in order to take off, So yeah, that's really what started Go Get Her.
Listen, I'm like, okay. Okay. She hitting all of the points already, but I think that's so good. And I especially love that you mentioned that break. Right?
Yeah.
Because anytime like something gets put on pause, whether God is putting it on pause, we're putting it on pause, put something down, come back to it years later. Like
Yeah.
sometimes we grieve like, oh, all that time, if I would have just did it then, if I would have
Mhm.
really stuck it through. But sometimes that pause is so
So
necessary, like
necessary.
to ground you or to just give you revelation about things that you weren't paying attention to in the season that
Yeah.
you were in when it initially came about. So I
Yeah.
just love that. I am such an advocate for taking a break and putting a pause, and knowing that really that idea of things that are meant to happen for you or things that are meant for
Yeah.
you, they will find you. Like it will come around. It may look different in
Right.
a season.
Right.
It may feel different, it may sound different, but it's that initial foundational idea that you had.
Yeah.
So you
And
said
delay doesn't mean denial.
hello,
Yeah.
okay? Because society will make you think that.
Yes.
Like, oh, like you didn't get it when it was hot, so now it ain't hot no
Mhm.
more. Like, okay,
Mhm.
no, I don't even. First of all, I serve a God who don't even operate in our time
Hello.
frame. Okay,
Yes.
so it might be hot to you right now, but trust me, when it come around, it's gonna be something that you need.
Yes.
So I love that. Like, I just love that part of everything that you said, but just that is so stand out for me. So you touched upon this a little bit, but I want to ask you, why is women empowerment so important for you? Because not everyone is a girl's girl, like not everyone it comes naturally to empower other women, or a lot of times society, again, a lot of societal things that we're busting up, they make it seem like we're in competition, like sisters can't build sisters up, we can't fix each other's crowns. So
Yeah.
why is women empowerment so important for you, and why is that a pursuit that you're taking on?
So I've always been that person that people would come to me. They would literally tell me their life stories. I mean, strangers, not even just friends. I mean, strangers. I used to be a manager at Michael Kors, and the fitting room sessions were real. Okay. These
Mhm.
women would come in and they would just pour everything out. And
Yeah.
I just felt like it was my duty to like help them and give them advice and inspire them. But I mean, this was Michael Kors was maybe a couple years ago, but I mean, I'm going back to like childhood, like elementary school,
Mhm.
no lie. Like I just like was that person that people gravitated to like just look to for advice. And I didn't understand it. And I used to be like, why are people always talking to me about their business?
Why do
Like,
you trust me with this
yeah,
information?
like, why do you trust me with this information? Why do you feel like I'm the one you should talk to? Like I really used to question it. But as it kept happening, I'm like, okay, I think God like put me on this earth for this because it just kept happening. And like I said, it was
Mhm.
with strangers as well. So I'm like, it has to be something about me that people keep doing this.
Yes.
So as I tapped into that and I'm realizing that now, I started paying attention, right? So I'm like, okay, like I help my friends, I inspire my friends, I give them advice. And then I would see, like, wow, she's actually applying what I told her and it's helping her. Like I would start to see the effects. So I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, like this is really dope. Like community is dope. Having women just like share their testimony or share what they've gone through and listen, like I went through this. You really shouldn't do that. That's my opinion, but I'm telling you what's on others, like just like
Yes.
those type of conversations and then me seeing like the effects of them. I'm like, oh yeah, this is real. Like we need this. Women need this. Like we're so much more powerful together than breaking each other down. And it's important that we show up, especially as brown and black women, we show up for each other. We
Yes.
show up for each other, meaning even when we don't feel like it, we show up. Even when we don't understand it, we show up.
Mhm.
Even if we have different perspectives on things, we show up because it's important to know she has my back.
Yeah.
I can trust her. She's a believer. I
Mm.
know whatever she's telling me is coming from God. Like, it's important to have that support system. And a lot of people don't have that. So I can be your best friend online. Like, I have my podcast. We could be best friends through the computer. We could be best friends through the phone. I can just be that person, even if you don't have anybody, if you don't have a friend, if you don't have a sister, if you don't have a mom, like I can be that person for you. Like, that's really what's important to me to show that wow, there are people out there that care for me. There are people out there that will speak life into me. There are people out there who will share what they've gone through because I'm going through that too. And I thought I was the only one. A lot of times we think we're the only one going through things. And it's like when you start to share, you're like, oh my God, you're dealing with that too?
Right.
Like, I learned that when I started doing poetry.
Mm.
And, when I was doing poetry, I was sad, I was depressed, and I found an escape through writing poetry. And when
Right.
I started doing spoken words, people would come up to me like, "Oh my God, I'm going through the same thing. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that." And I'm just like, "Really? Like, I'm not the only one dealing with
Be
this?"
surprised. It's
You
amazing.
really be
Yeah.
surprised. So I think it's important when God gives you a calling, tap in.
Mm.
Even if it looks scary, even if you don't even know what's on the other side of it, if it's something that he keeps showing you, it's for you. It's for you. I'm telling you, because I ran away from it. I did not want to start the Go Get Her podcast. I'm like, who am I to be up here talking to these people and trying to inspire them? Like, who am I to do that? But
Right.
God said, "You are my daughter.
Hello.
You are my daughter, and I created you for this. There's something in you that needs to come out. What you've gone through, I didn't see you through it and guide you through it just to keep to yourself. I helped you with that because I need you to help others."
That's
And as you start to do the work, as you start to do the healing, it becomes contagious to the other people around you. And
right.
then it shouldn't stop there. It shouldn't just stop with my friends and my sister. It shouldn't stop there. I can tell this to the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. He's gotten me through so much that I don't even deserve. Okay. So much that I don't even deserve. So if my duty is to share that and inspire people and build the kingdom and bring people closer to him, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
That's so good. And while you're talking, I'm just reminded of even when we first started the conversation and you were saying, thank you for allowing me to shine my light, to
Yeah.
share my light here on this platform. Like it shows that you really are in a space of understanding the power of who God made you to be. And it doesn't mean that we always understand, right?
Right. Right.
Sometimes we may get something, we may have a talent, like you said when you were younger. Why do people keep talking to me and telling me they do this? Like sometimes we don't even understand it, but just you being you and operating in your truth in your space is sharing and shining that light that other people need to see. And I really feel like the things that we go through are not for us. Like sometimes
Not.
we go through stuff and it's like, why me? Why do I gotta go through this? Lord, please, I don't want it.
Yeah.
But
Literally.
makes sense in hindsight when you encounter somebody else, when someone maybe connects you to someone like, hey, London went through that thing before, or like, oh, I
Right.
remember Shannon was talking about that. I don't know fully what the story was, but let me let you talk to
Mhm.
her, whatever it is, because I'm really recognizing and understanding that the things that we go through are not just for us.
Mm-mm.
It's
Not at
because
all.
we're meant to share it and we're meant to help other people see themselves, not see themselves, but be guided through God through a situation. Because
Yeah.
that's where lies start, right? When we don't talk about things, when
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
don't speak it out. I literally transparently last night okay, talked out a situation that I'm going through with one of my pastors, and she shared with me that she's gone through something very similar. And a lot of times, depending on who people are in our lives, we may not even think. We know everyone has a story,
Yeah.
but I don't know why we just don't process like other
Yeah.
people be going through stuff too. Like, you know what
Literally.
I mean? But I would have never had the opportunity to have that moment with her, to be
Yeah.
encouraged and also get counsel and get advice if I
Yeah.
didn't open up and share it. So us just having conversations and just sharing the things that we've been through, and it don't even gotta be deep. Like we don't
Right.
have to like,
Right.
oh, it all started at
Yeah.
2 I fell off the bed. Like we don't
Yes.
sometimes
No,
and sometimes we
literally.
do. But
Yeah.
sometimes it's not we don't even need to do all of that. It's just
Yeah.
really being like,
Just being
"Hey,
you.
I know what you mean. Like I've been there, I've experienced that, I've seen it for myself." Sometimes
Yeah.
even just that phrase without a story attached to it can
Literally.
initiate healing in somebody else because they're like, "Wow, well, look at London, like she's walking out here." And I mean, I thank God that we don't look like the things we've been through, okay? Because
Okay.
hello.
Woo.
I be showing up places kikiing and laughing
Yes.
and cackling hard belly laughs, and people are like, "How are you just so joyful? Do you not have hardship?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Child, I'm in a storm right now.
Right
Girl.
now.
I'm
Yes.
right before your eyes." But it's just knowing that like you will overcome it. And if I when I'm going through things recently, I tell myself, like, if I could get through this and be a testimony of it, like, I can
Yes.
encourage another woman, I can encourage another girl,
Yes.
I can encourage the people around me, like, hey, like, you may be weathering a storm right now, but listen, the storm has to break. You know, the
Yes.
clouds have to
Yes.
go away at some point. The sun has to come back out. So, I love, love, love that. And I think that is a perfect transition for us to go into healing, because a lot of the things that you said that you've been helping other with helping others with, even sharing your testimony, your story, your trials and tribulations, a lot of that is attached to healing,
Yeah.
because you got to overcome these situations, and sometimes they cause a lot of sometimes trauma, and like you said, taking off the trauma, the hurt, the guilt, the shame, all of that. So in your own understanding, what
Mhm.
is healing? Like, what does that even mean to you?
Well, I'll put it this way. I think it's important to realize that healing doesn't take place until you are aware of what needs to be healed, right? Awareness is the first step in healing. And you know what they say, what doesn't get watered doesn't grow. So if you don't even know, like, wow, I have a bad attitude. Wow, I always feel like I need to have the last word. Like, if you're not aware of these things, the healing doesn't take place. So I think it's important that you self reflect, or you take some time to pay attention when you're in like certain situations and you realize, like, okay, wow, that's something I need to work on. Um, like with me, for example, I was definitely that girl that always needed to have the last word. I always felt like I needed to defend myself. I
Mm,
always felt like I had to shut down the conversation. And you know why? Because as a little girl, I didn't feel heard. I
mhm,
didn't feel seen. So that inner child is still trying to defend herself.
yeah,
She's still trying to like, no, let me say this because, but she's still trying to defend herself. So
yeah,
I had to say, okay, you know what? This is not okay. It's causing issues with my parents. I'm speaking from a teenager perspective. They
mm,
hated it. It was always coming up. You're always talking back, and you're the child, and I'm the adult. And even as an adult, it caused issues in my relationship because it's like, why do you always have to have the last word? Why do you always have to like bicker?
mhm,
And sometimes you have to see yourself outside of yourself. A lot of times, really, you have to see yourself outside of yourself.
mhm,
When it's done to you, you're like, "Oh, wait a minute, I do that too." So I don't like it when you do it, so you definitely don't like it when I do it, you
hello.
know?
Yeah,
So I really had to take some time to self-reflect on that and say, "Why do I feel the need to always have the last word?" And that's when it came to me, and I was just like, "Wow, she's still trying to defend a lot of things that
mm,
she was trying to say when I was a young girl." And
mhm,
she didn't feel seen, and she didn't feel heard. She didn't feel appreciated. She felt like, she was an oddball. Like I always felt like the oddball in my friend group, or like even in elementary school, I used to always wear a lot of colors. I always loved colors, but I
mm,
always felt different. And what helped me was fashion. I
mhm,
loved to dress and play dress up. So that was how I expressed myself, through fashion, through my outfits. But that's why the foundation of my brand, Dope Sophist, is learning the benefits of self love, because it's great if you can get fly, step out, take your pictures, all of that. That's beautiful. That's great. But what about the inside? What about the core? What about your heart? What about your characteristics? What about your heart posture? Like
mhm,
healing is really checking your heart posture constantly and being aware of what you say out of your mouth, what you do, what you listen to. Like healing is all of that. It's really a mindset change. It has to start with your mindset. I want better for myself. I want my life to look like this. I want to stop being like this. I want to stop being miserable, or I want to stop having an attitude, or I want to stop walking in a room and have a negative attitude. Like whatever it is with you,
Right.
you start with you. Shannon can tell me all day, London, the other day you really had a negative attitude and, you came in a room and the whole room changed, the atmosphere changed. She can tell me all of that. But if I'm not aware, I'm going to be defensive to her and I'm going to, girl, you bugging. No, I didn't, because I'm not even aware. So we have to really pay attention to our actions and how we act. So I would say, to answer your question and sum it all up, healing is really changing your mindset, shifting your mindset to a positive mindset, changing your heart posture, learning how to forgive, because once you learn how to forgive yourself, it gets easier to forgive others. And then also, hello, our Father forgave us.
Mm-hmm.
We're nothing like him, nothing like him. He's the only one who was good and perfect. We're nothing like him, but he forgave us. He sacrificed his only son for us, for our freedom, so we don't have to be bound, so we don't have to be in these invisible strongholds. We don't have to live the way that we've seen our parents live. We don't have to live how society wants us to live. We can have that life that we dream of, but we have to be locked in with the one who brought us here. So that's what I would say healing is.
That's such a great definition. Honestly, I'm sitting here processing what you said, and just thinking through like how you even identify when you need to check yourself for a healing moment or say like, oh wow, this is something that I really gotta like take a look at and examine.
Yeah.
Um, because I feel like as we grow older, our understanding of healing changes. You know,
Changes.
as a
Yeah.
child, like, healing, when I would think about healing, it would just be, oh, I got a cut and like I need a band-aid and it's gonna heal my, or my mom's kiss is gonna heal my wounds.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
as you get older, you realize like it's not just about the physical scar, you know, it's like it's not just about what you see on the surface. Sometimes you gotta go underneath that surface and figure out what's
Mhm.
going on or figure out where the blood is still leaking from, right? Because sometimes
Yes.
you might get a scab and then the scab gets pulled up and now it's bleeding again, like it never
Yes.
stopped.
Yeah.
So I think that's so good of like just recognizing like, okay, something's happening here. I'm
Mhm.
continuing to respond like this. I don't really like this response. And like you said, being self-aware, because I think that's where a lot of us miss our healing moments. Because
Yeah.
like you said,
Yeah.
someone else could tell you something. We have people who we do life with every day who see us, our coworkers, our family, our
Yes.
spouses, our children, whatever, like who see us every day, who may see things about us that we don't even recognize.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
don't even notice, but if I'm not willing to be self-aware, if I'm not willing to be receptive of what's being said,
Yeah.
I'm never going to heal. I'm never going to get through that moment. Or even there's things that we fight internally that we may have even blocked out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
response to something, someone else's response to us, we block it out and we're just like, why does this thing bother me so much? Like,
Yeah.
why does this thing, and when you able to like go back and unpack it, you can really figure out like, oh, like you said, because little London wasn't heard. So
Yeah.
now whenever I have the space to be heard, I'm gonna be heard. Even
Right. Right.
be heard, like you're gonna hear me. And then realizing like, oh, I need to do that.
Yeah.
Need
Yeah.
to do that anymore because I'm so confident in myself when I walk into the room, when I present myself, people want to hear what I have to say. I don't have to fight for it anymore.
Right.
I'm
Right.
walking in who I am, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I think that's just so great. And you really like one of the things that I wanted to ask you was about what are those times that you realized you needed healing, but I think you basically answered that question for us, And I know there's probably thousands of examples because
Yeah.
there's so many things that we go through in life, but I want to ask you and flip that and go deeper into how do you define a healer?
Hmm.
Because what is a healer to you? Because some of us are gifted. with being healers. And for me, I see you as a healer. And I
I
don't know,
never ever wow, that's
I
wow.
don't know, and that answers what I was about to say. I was like, I don't know if you see yourself as a healer, but for me,
Yeah,
I see you as a healer because you're going after, you're encouraging women to go after the them that God has made them to be, but you're also going after them. Cause you're like, hey sis,
wow,
listen here now. Have your self-care. Go ahead and dye your hair like I'm dyeing my hair with my kids all next week.
wow,
We getting it done. But
wow.
you being transparent, you sharing those things, for me, is being a healer. For me, a healer goes before others and shows their healing process to then
Right,
go back and get others to also heal. And even if my healing process doesn't look like yours, I want,
right, right.
hey, this is a process. So for me, I see you as a healer. For
Wow.
sure,
I told you, do not make me cry, Leah.
Listen, I'm like, I gotta see the things, but like, so um how do you define a healer? Because even now you're like, whoa, I never.
Yeah, I never looked at myself as a healer, but hearing you break it down, it's like, wow, like I am going after people, like even in my everyday life, like at work, like I'm going to my coworkers, I'm like, hey, did you do your budgeting this week? Hey, did you take your break this week? Hey, like I'm like, wow, wow, you just, oh my goodness. Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
That's dope. Thank you for that.
of
Thank you. Thank
course.
you, God, for sending
Yeah.
her to send me that message. Um, wow, what is a healer to me? That's a good question. I would definitely like piggyback off what you said, like someone who they know that's their assignment from God to help others, and no matter what, they show up to do that. Even if they're going through storms, even if they're excuse me, even if they're not in the best place, mentally, physically, it's still their number one priority to help others. So I think that's really important. Wow. That wow. That was really good. That was you messed me up with that because I never looked at myself
Honestly,
as a
because you know
teacher.
what I'm coming to even understand about myself.
Mhm.
And I love this conversation because it's like I'm asking you questions, but also it's helping me reflect on things. And
Yeah.
me even telling you about me seeing yourself, seeing you. Hello, what? Seeing you as a healer, it makes me think about just nurturing people in general. Like you said,
Yeah.
when you're going through a storm, being able to just like go through that thing, but also encourage others. Like, and also,
Yeah.
hey, like you could get what you need, and here, like, did you drink your water? Like that. That seems like a small thing for us, especially people who are naturally just like caring and concerned. But for
Yeah.
someone else, it's like, wow, no one ever cares enough to even ask.
Yes. Yes.
And now, like, you've
My
broken
God.
something
Yeah.
off of me because I can let my guard down. Or
Yeah.
like, maybe a cup of water is not gonna let your guard down, right? But it
Right.
shows like,
Right.
oh, there are people who want to see about me. And for
Yeah.
us, we know that it's something bigger than us that is
Yeah.
operating through us to see about those people. But I think that's where a lot of healers, kind of ground themselves in that nurturing element,
Yeah.
because you care deeply, like you care so deeply about people, and for you to go through something, expose it, and then say, hey, like I want you to also reach this level.
Yeah.
You're not out here like me, right? Because that may not be your mission, but
Yeah.
I want you to know that healing is available and it's possible, and you could use me as an example.
Yeah.
um so even thinking through being a healer, right? They say hindsight is 2020. We get to reflect on things, we get to look back, we get to do all of those things. So
Mhm.
if you were to walk into a room, right? And sitting in the middle of this room is Little London. And
Mhm.
we've been kind of talking about her throughout the conversation and things
Yeah.
and how we thought about certain situations. But if you walked into this room and you saw Little London sitting in a chair crying. My first question is, from where you are now,
Mhm.
what would you assume she's crying about? And
Mhm.
what would you tell her to encourage her or even help her through that moment in time?
Um, sorry.
It's okay.
Um, right now in this space, um, I would assume that she's crying because my grandma just passed.
Mm,
And my grandma was like my everything. She
mm,
was definitely my best friend. She's the one who inspired me to go after fashion. She's the one who taught me how to sew.
mm,
So it's been a process, letting go of the physical version of my grandma.
mm,
Um, so I would assume that she's sad about that because she knows like how much she inspired her as a little girl, you know? Like she is the root of why I want to be a healer,
yeah.
so to say, you know? My grandma, she was such a classy lady, so graceful, always helping people. She would give you the shirt off of her back, like always helping people. Even when people didn't do right by her, she still was helping people and she loved God. She loved God so much. And I'm just so happy that I got to see that growing up in her. But she was a huge part of my childhood. Like, I went down south every summer, spent the summer with her and my grandpa every summer. So I think little London would probably be sad about that because she's still processing the transition of not having grandma physically here. But how I would encourage her is I would tell her, she's not physically with us, but she's still watching over us. And we have to keep going because she's watching. She's still watching. Even though she's not physically watching, she's still watching over us. And we have to make her proud. So don't be sad. Don't be sad because being sad will just make her sad. And we don't want her to be sad. We want her to be up in paradise, smiling down on us, proud of us, and doing our best and letting God do the rest. So I would just encourage her to not be sad. Don't cry. Keep pushing because she's still watching over us. She's still with us. She's still showing us signs that she's with us. And everything that we said we were going to do, we're going to do it.
mm,
So don't be sad.
yeah. And I feel, I didn't have the privilege to get to know your grandma, but I overstand the honor and the love um that you have for her. I could feel it. I could see it in the way you talk about her, the way you're lighted up just mentioning her. Um and just understanding that like so special relationship that some of us, get the privilege of having with our grandparents because not a lot of people even had that opportunity.
Right.
The way you talk about your grandma is the way I feel about my grandma. But I know without a shadow of a doubt, without even having known her, been able to have a conversation with her, that she is extremely proud of you and the
Thank
things that you're doing, like you have just grown and like this is just not even for the conversation, but just a Shannon to London moment, like we met when we were in high school and
you.
going to different schools, right? Like we met through a random program
Yeah.
to do journalism on the Grand Concourse. I don't know what was going on there, but like we met at this random program and
Mhm.
to see how you have evolved, how your brand has evolved, how your thought process about life has changed, even within this last year, like just seeing
Yeah.
you watching
Yeah.
you like bloom and really step into the things that God has called you to do and hearing how much your grandma loved God and just the things that he's doing in everyone's life around her, I
Yeah.
know that she's extremely proud. Just if you didn't do another thing to just know that you are honoring God with your obedience and your yes, I know that that brings her immense joy.
Yeah.
And I know for grandparents, parents, mentors, anybody who's in our life. Like sometimes when we're younger, they tell us things, we see things that they do, and then we act like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
and then we grow up and we literally turn into them, like with the
Yeah.
things that we were like, I would never. So her seeing you, even how you described her physical appearance, like a classy lady. Like I see you, the glasses, the blazers, like
Yes.
just
Yes. This is her blazer.
oh, that's so special. Like
Yeah.
just that, like exuding who she was and how she added to your life, you know? So I know that she's proud of you. I can say that with confidence without even having had a conversation with her. Because I know I'm extremely proud of you. And I'm like, who am I?
Thank you
Like,
so
you know, but
much.
like I'm extremely proud of you. And you know, just hearing you speak about her and thinking about this generational growth within our family. You have a daughter. You also
Yeah.
have your son, you have your prince, but you also have a daughter, and I think what you're doing with other women is so vitally important that
Yeah.
God even saw it fit that like, "Oh, I don't want you to just go after other women
Mhm.
and girls.
Mhm.
Like, I want you to have your own princess that you're raising up to have a whole
Yeah.
different perspective, a whole different mindset." And, you know, like, as a mom to a girl, like, I think
Mhm.
about that all the time, and when I look at my daughter, I'm like, "Wow, she's just gonna have such a different
Yes.
perspective of self
Yes.
because of the things that I've experienced, and now that I get to pour into her." And of course, she's gonna have her own thought
Yeah.
about things, and
Yeah.
some things we may not agree on, and that's all
Yeah.
right. But, just thinking through that generational mindset of teaching our princesses new things, how would you explain healing to
Mhm.
River? How would you, like, explain to her why it's important to heal and why we need to heal ourselves throughout our lives? And I know that's a big concept, and right now our babies are babies. Um,
Yeah.
but even if you were to like if she miraculously came up to you right now, was like, "What's a healing?" Like, what would you say to her about what healing is?
Um, before I even answer that,
Mhm.
it's very important to me, number one, to heal so I don't pass down my trauma to my children.
Yeah.
Um, God is telling me to do this, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
share something with you that nobody knows. I'm writing a book on motherhood. Yeah.
Immediately send it to me. Immediately.
I've never said this to the
Oh
public, to anybody,
my
so
god.
this is a gem for your platform, but I am writing a book on motherhood, but I'm writing from the perspective of we don't have to be perfect for our children. We need to be healthy. And
Mm,
it's important that we
so
heal
good.
so we don't pass on things to our kids because things were passed down to me, not aware. My parents were not aware, of course. They were doing the best with what they had and what they knew. And I love them just for not giving up on themselves and not giving up on me, you know? And I have two other sisters as well. But it's important for us to really focus on our healing so that we don't give our children our trauma and we give them a childhood that they don't have to heal from. So when they ask, Mommy, what is healing? It's not coming from a place of, I'm going through this and I don't know. You know, of course they're going to
Yeah,
go through things, yes, but it's
yeah,
not like a, I am sad, I'm hurt, I'm traumatized, and how do I heal? You know, I don't ever want it to be from that perspective.
yes.
I want it to be more of learning the knowledge behind what is healing. So if River were to ask me what is healing, right? I would say to her, first of all, self love is important. So
Mm,
I would explain the benefits of self love to my daughter. But I would tell her healing is becoming the best version of yourself by focusing on the things that God is trying to pull out of you. What is God trying to remove from you? What is God trying to pull out of you? What are the characteristics that He's trying to remove from you? What is hard to give up? What is hard to do? And then based on her answers, then I would say, okay, well, that's what healing is. But it's definitely important for us to, as parents, focus on our healing so we don't let them experience the same things that we experience, or so they're not coming from a place of hurt or experiencing things and they don't know how to come to us, like having those conversations. I literally, my daughter's 1, she's going to be 2 in July, my son is 5. We do affirmations every morning when we get up. We do affirmations. My
I love
daughter,
it.
she's learning how to talk now, but she says, I have her in the mirror, I hold her, and I say your affirmations. She tries to say affirmations, but she's not saying it yet. But she says, I am River. I am pretty. I am beautiful. She's not even 2 yet. She's
Yeah.
going to know to do that growing up.
Right.
It's already going to be instilled in her because she does it every morning.
And it's gonna be
She's going to know.
natural.
It's going to be naturally. She's going to know I am beautiful. I am loved. I matter. I am enough. Yes, when people tell me, it's going to be great to hear, but I'm already going to know it. My son, he's 5. He wakes up every morning. Sometimes he comes to me like, we didn't say our affirmations yet. But he wakes up every morning. I am a leader, not a follower. I am the head, not the tail. Thank you, God, for another day. Amen. Simple. Nothing too crazy, but powerful. But powerful. And even today, just my son amazes me so much. But even today, right? He said to me, he said, Mommy, today River wasn't being a leader. And I
Oh,
said, oh, what did she do? And he said, she hit me. And I told her, don't do that. And she was following the other people around and hitting them. And I told her, River, you're not being a leader. You're not being a leader. You're being a follower. Don't listen and don't do what other people do. And he just started going on and on. And
gosh.
as I'm listening to him, I'm like, wow, he's already identifying what a leader is. Yes,
Yes.
he says it to himself, I'm a leader, not a but he's identifying in
He
other people.
understands. Yes.
So it shows me that it's gonna be in him too to like help people. Like,
Absolutely.
listen, I know you could do better than that. You're not being
Mhm.
your best today. Like I just feel that and I see that in him
Mhm.
already. So that's why I say like it's important for us to heal because now me healing, I can do these things with my daughter. I can do these things with my son. We can talk about affirmations. We can talk about being a leader. Like, because I'm in a space where I can speak to them from a healed space. I didn't always like my gap. I never used to smile. You know how I smiled in my school pictures, a lot of them? Like
Oh.
that because I didn't like my gap. But
Mm.
guess what God did on purpose? He gave me a daughter with a gap.
Well,
My son has a gap.
yeah.
So now I love my gap. I love my smile. I smile all the time. But if I didn't overcome that and heal from that, I couldn't tell them, oh, you're beautiful. Your gap is beautiful. Don't ever close. I couldn't tell them that
Yeah.
because I'm not in a place of healed when it comes to that perspective. If I don't like how I look and they literally have the same thing, how can I tell them that they are beautiful when I don't even think I'm beautiful, you know?
Mm.
So it definitely hits different when you become a parent, when you become a mom. It
It's different,
so
honey. It is
different.
different.
Levels to it. It's so many levels to it because I don't want to just help my kids. I want to help my kids' grandkids. Like I want to set them up to where they don't have to like hustle and bustle and grind and miss
Mm.
meals. Like, yes, I want them to obviously learn how to go after things. But
Yeah.
I mean, when my parents moved to Virginia when I was 19, I've been on my own since I was 19. There was some days where I had to go to a friend's house to take a shower because I had no hot water, or I didn't eat dinner because I didn't have money to buy dinner. Like there was a lot of things that I experienced, but it built my character and it
Mm.
made me grateful. But
Mhm.
it made me so grateful. So anytime anybody says anything to me about, oh my God, you got your kids, you got your family, you got your house, you got your car, I'm like, you don't know what I went through
Mm.
before all of this came about. I didn't have a car. I was struggling carrying grocery bags, walking my fingers cold, freezing, almost about to fall off, holding grocery bags because I don't have a car and I don't have money to afford a cab. You don't
Yeah.
know what I went through before you see all of this. Like literally, So yes, people see you. as what you are or what you show. But that's why it's important for us to share our story, because you're planting seeds. So then they're like, oh, okay, well, wow, you have this, but you went through this. So if you can get through that, I can get through it too. Like, it's important for us to plant those seeds. And that's why, like you said, what we go through is not for us. Like, literally, it's not for us. I had the opportunity to speak with someone who was in a space where, they're depressed, they're sad, they're not happy. It's a teenager, right?
Mm.
And before I got on the phone with her, I said, God, less of me, more of you. Less of me and more of you. I was in this space before. So let me just tell her, listen, I've been there. I don't know exactly what you're going through, but I've been in this space before. And I literally was just telling her, like, the experience I had, how I overcame it. That's when I first learned, of God, like who he is. It's different, knowing of God, and that's the surface level, but then building a relationship with him is like chef's kiss. But I said to her, like, even you wanting to talk to me is a step in your healing,
Mm.
because I'm not anybody that, you're familiar with. So
Mm.
even you wanting to like share what you're going through with basically a stranger, it's you saying, I want to be better. I
Mm.
want to do better. And you know what she said? Thank you so much for caring about me. When I tell you, on the other side of that phone,
Mm.
the phone was soaking wet, because just to hear her say that, thank you for caring for me, that really did something for me, because it showed me like, you went through that for this right here.
Yep.
You went through all of that, even though it was dark,
Yeah.
even though you were unhappy, even though you were contemplating taking your life, even though you questioned God, why did you wake me up this morning? You went through all of that, and he got you through it for this right here, because there's another girl who's just the same age as you were when you were going through that, going through the same thing,
Yeah.
and now she needs you.
Yeah.
So that right there, that showed me I could never give up. I could never give up no matter what. I could never give up, because there are girls out there who don't have anybody. Now,
Mm.
this young lady, she has a family, she has friends, like, so not her in particular, but there are people out there who don't have anybody. And you can be that person to help them. You can be that person to plant the seed in them and show them there's somebody who loves you unconditionally.
Mhm.
Their love for you will never change. You are enough just as you are. You matter. Like, you matter, and you have a purpose. Like, it's important for us to not take that role lightly. It's really important. So, yeah, like, just when she said that, thank you for caring for me, I was like, okay, God, I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you loud and clear. I hear
Yeah.
you loud and clear.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like, something for us that could seem so, oh, I'm just picking up a phone call, to tell a girl about my experience, or I don't even
Mhm,
know who I am to tell you about my experience, right?
mhm.
Like sometimes we go through that as well, but it's because of those moments. Like we are strategically, intentionally placed in the positions that we're in to be
Yeah,
able to reach the people we need to reach. And it doesn't always feel like we're reaching them. Like,
yeah,
it
yeah.
always feels like we're getting, for lack of better term, the return on what we're putting out,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah.
But when you have those moments, just a simple sentence, "Thank you for caring
Simple.
for me." Because again, for us, we know that it's not just to us, it's not to
Right.
the person who they're speaking to.
Yeah.
I came to see about them through us.
Yes.
And we were able to, because of our obedience,
Yeah. Yeah.
because of our obedience to give a yes to someone or something, now God was able to reach another one of his children
Yeah.
and was able to turn our trauma or our trials into triumph for someone
Yeah.
else to realize, like, oh wow, like she really, came to talk to me. Like, who am I to her? And like she didn't have to share that with me. And my mom always taught me growing up, when people share things with you, you
Mhm.
thank them, no
Yeah.
matter what it
Yeah.
is. It could be the smallest little thing. My favorite color is purple. Well, thank you for sharing your favorite color with, like, because
Yeah.
people don't have to share anything with you.
Right.
So for
'Cause you
her,
don't know how important it is to them, even if it
right,
seems small to you. Yeah.
right, it could be a huge thing. So her even thanking you, it was like a thank you for, like, just being here, even though that's what she was focusing on, like, the care, but it was just like a thank you for being here, thank you for listening, because
Yeah.
she may not have that, and some people come from places and spaces where you think, "Oh, they have the support that they need," but they may still need that other voice of encouragement, or that other voice who, is seeing something from a fresh pair of eyes or a fresh pair of ears to
Yeah.
hear their side of a situation, you know? Um, so I think that that helps me so masterfully transition into my last question, even though we could go for hours, okay?
Hours.
Because this is just so good, and I'm just like, just another transparent moment. I'm sitting here talking to you, listening to your answers, listening to you share, and the whole time in my mind, I'm just like, "Okay, God." Like, the moment that you had, like, "Okay, God, I hear you," like, I'm having that moment right now, like, "Okay, God, like, yes,
Yeah.
this is not a me thing.
Yeah.
This is a you thing." I'm
Yeah.
the vessel in
Yeah.
this thing, and I'm always like, "I don't know where the girls are gonna come from. I don't know who's gonna see the messages. I don't know if people even care about what I'm talking about." But having just this conversation, like, just really did something for me. So just thank you again. Like, I know I already told you thank you, but you kicking this off, hearing what you had to say, the things that you had to share is just like, yeah, this is a God thing for sure.
Thank
Um,
you.
oh, this is so good. I wanna run somewhere. I just need to run. So to close us out and put the cherry on top of this amazing, 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 amazing conversation. And also while we were talking, I'm just like, yeah, because I'm gonna need to talk to her again, and we're gonna talk about more things. Um,
Yes, I'd love to.
because it's just this is yeah. That was not a sentence or words or a phrase, but yeah.
I
Um,
get you. I get you.
but to just end it off, you know, BASIC is an acronym.
Mhm.
And it stands for beautifully abnormal in spite of intense criticism. And the name really stems from just being able to defy odds, being
Yeah.
able to come against titles, boxes that people put you in, everything like that. That's what it means for us over here to be basic. Because, you know, people always like, not basic. I don't want to be,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, no, no, no. We over here, we want to be basic because we want to be us and we want to be ourselves despite it all. So how do you, London,
Mhm.
many hats, many titles, many positions that you play in life, how do you remain basic? How do you remain you, and just navigate life physically, internally? Like, what does that mean to you to for you to be basic?
Really just realizing that God loves me exactly how I am. Honestly, I didn't always love who I saw in the mirror. I didn't always love the person that I was. I didn't always love the heart that I had, but just knowing that he has loved me through all of that and some helps me learn to love myself in every single season of my life. Every single season of my life. And it just helps me remain true to who I am because people, like I said, I didn't know why people always gravitated to me, but now I know people gravitate to you because you have a big heart and you're really passionate about helping others. You're really, really confident in why God put you on this earth and you want to help other women realize the same. But individuality is very important to me. We all are placed on this earth for a reason. We all look different for a reason. Comparison is a thief of joy. I can't look at you, Shannon, and say, oh man, I wish my eyebrows looked like that. No.
Mhm.
God created us all differently for a reason. God
Oh,
gave me
there
this
you
gap
go.
for a reason.
Yes.
So just really like loving on myself, learning to love on myself, and really teaching people the benefits of self love. Because oftentimes, and this can be another conversation for another day, but I often found myself dating because I felt validated when somebody said they loved me or liked me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay with you because you show me attention and you say you love me and you like me, but you really don't. But because I don't love myself and you're filling that void, I'm going to stay through situations that I shouldn't. I should stay with people that I really shouldn't be with, like things of that nature. So it's important for us to really love who we are, love God. And then when other people come into our lives, friends, relationships, spouses, whatever the case may be, their love is an accessory to the love that we already have for ourselves and the love that God has for us. It's an accessory. It's not the foundation. The foundation is God's love because he loves us unconditionally, no matter what. When you stray away, he loves you. When you're close to him, he loves you. He really just wants you to come to him and build a relationship with him. I think people get so intimidated by, oh my God, I have to be perfect now. I'm going to church, I'm doing this, I got to be perfect. No, God does not want you to be perfect, because those people that are acting like they're perfect, their heart posture is not good. Their heart posture is not good. And he loves them even still. But it's important for you to know that you don't have to be perfect. God loves you exactly as you are. And as you continue building that relationship with him, the things that you yearned for before, you really won't yearn for it anymore, because you're trying to be more like him and get closer to him. So just understand that it's a journey. It's not a race. It's not a competition. You're not in competition with anybody. The relationship that you build with God or that you have with God is between you two. And he's so amazing because he makes it feel so personal. He's God to all of us, but he makes it so personal when it's just you and him. So I just want to encourage anybody, if you're on your healing journey or you're thinking about going on a healing journey or strengthening your relationship with God, learning about God, you might just be learning about who he is by watching this. Just know you don't have to be perfect. He loves you exactly as you are. And it gets better as you develop that relationship with him.
London, thank you so much for your time, for your words, for your thoughts, for your exclusive drop.
I know. Now I gotta hurry up and finish.
She's like, oh no, not the fire, Lord. Not the fire. That's in my behind. But I'm just so thankful for all of it. Just thank you for being a part of Basic History. Thank you for just always being a light in the room. From the time I met you, that's how I've always seen you in my mind. Like, just oh my God, this girl's just like, she's so cool. And she's wearing colors. And it's so great. And I love this. Like, and back then we used to have the neon pants.
Yes. Yes.
And I would just always be like, oh my gosh, like she's just going for it. And like even now, years later, I'm still sitting here like, yo, she's just going for it. Like this girl.
Thank you.
Sweet. I love this woman. Okay. We met as girls, but now we women. But for anyone who is interested, any of my girls, my ladies who are watching this, how can we follow you? How can we reach out to you? Just tell us your information.
Yes, of course. So my Instagram, my personal Instagram is Guru of Fashion, which is GURUOFASHION. And then my Go Get Her page is Go Get Her __. So GOGETHER 2 underscores. And Shannon, I'll give you the information if you want the link, to my YouTube. You can subscribe. Pretty much this conversation, that's the vibe of my podcast. Like literally, it's such a vibe. And we all just help each other, we inspire each other. And that's just, that's what it's really all about, and Dope Sophist, my brand, I am relaunching this year. So keep a lookout for that. And Dope Sophist, it's my baby, which means dope and sophisticated, which is my ambiance. But it's me pretty much, even with my brand, like I focus on your inner beauty and then I design pieces for your outer beauty, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want you to just feel confident and beautiful when you have my designs on. I want you to feel confident and beautiful in your natural state before you put my designs on. And then my designs will be the cherry on top. So keep a lookout for that. But yes, you can follow me on Instagram if you want to chat. I'm such a social butterfly. So I'll definitely answer you. And if you need advice, anything, I'm here. I'm your girl. So yeah.
Yes, London, thank you. I strongly encourage all of you to go follow her podcast. I'm like really a fan, like not just because she's here and not just because we talking right now, but like I'm genuinely a fan and I tune in all the time.
Thank you so much.
I
Thank
just love what
you.
you're doing. I'm just so proud of you, and just thank you again for sharing with us. And even sharing and being open enough for people to reach out to you, because not everybody be wanting to be like, oh no, it's okay. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're
So
welcome.
Basic babes, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching this first Your Basically conversation. And I want to know in the chat, I want to know, I said in the chat, I want to know in the comments, what did you think about that conversation? What is something that you took away from that conversation? How do you define healing? How do you define a healer? Let's talk about it in the comments below. I really want to talk to you. Like, I'm so serious. Like, put a comment down there. So tune in next time for our next conversation, and I cannot wait to see you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all of the things, and follow us on all of our social media platforms at IAMBAISIC. See you next time.